They call the meeting to order. If any person wishes to speak to the meeting, they need to provide their name and address to record for the record prior to addressing the committee. Could I have a motion for and a seconder for the adoption of planning advisory committee meeting agenda? Mark, second, Linda, thank you. All in favor? You. Any disclosure of preliminary interest and general nature thereof? Okay, thank you. We need a motion and a seconder for adoption of the planning advisory committee meeting minutes. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, okay, motion. Henry, Dan, oh.
I thought you had an error or omission.
No. Wait. Okay, Henry and Dan, all in favor? Thank you. So the appointment today, before us today is the proposed official plan amendment number 7. A proposed amendment to zoning bylaw 1321. It's a concession 2, part lot 6 in the geographic township of Elizabethtown. Proposed Bluey subdivision at 3817 County Road 26. Just going to highlight a few things here. The background, the application is to amend the township official plan and the comprehensive zoning bylaw 1321 has received the subject lands as part lot of 6 concession 2 in Elizabethtown. The subject property is 9.22 hectare in area and is currently zoned rural RU, and the official plan is zoned rural RU by zoning bylaw 1321. The township's comprehensive zoning bylaw, the owner has applied to the counties of Leeds and Grenville for approval of residential plan of subdivision. It is to develop a residential subdivision amended to the township's official plan is required, rural to residential, and the zoning bylaw amendment is also required, rural to residential type 1 and residential type 3 special exception. The draft plan of the subdivision depicts 10 lots for single detached dwellings and 5 lots to be occupied by 4 townhouse dwellings per lot, for a total of 30 residential units in. The subject property is currently occupied by a single detached dwelling, and some of the property is cleared land, with the majority of the property being tree and brush covered. The application details the official plan amendment. Purpose of the official plan amendment is to redesign the lands from rural to residential special exception area to permit the development of subdivision with 10 lots for single detached dwelling and 5 lots for a townhouse. The purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the lands that are subject to the official plan amendment from RU to residential type 1 to allow the single detached dwelling and residential type 3 special exception to permit proposed townhouses. The county's official plan, the lands are designated rural lands on Schedule A, community structure and land use. On the township official plan 218, the lands are currently designated rural by the official plan, and it's proposed that the lands be redesignated to residential to permit the proposed residential development. The zoning bylaw 1321 is amended. The lands to be developed are currently zoned RU by zoning bylaw 1321 to be developed as residential plan of subdivision, rezoning to residential type 1 R1 and residential type 2 special exception 3 R2-3 is required. Jim, you want to speak on the content of the official plan, the provincial policy statement, and please?
Yes, thank you, Chair, members of the committee, members of the public. It's quite a lengthy report and the OP amendments attached, so I will just hit the highlights and I'll look for any questions from the committee or the public or the applicants that have through the chair. But and I'll try and let you know what page I'm on. I'm going to start on page 3 of the report. You either have electronically or hard copy. And the supporting studies. So on page 3, you will see a draft plan of the subdivision showing the 10 lots on the right on Street A, accessed by Street A, and the 5 lots where 4 townhouses are to be constructed on each lot, accessed by Street B, and then of course they go out to County Road 26 to the north. In terms of the process itself, we have 3 development applications to allow this development. Two of them are at the township. We have the official plan amendment. And the second one is a zoning amendment. That's also processed by the township. But we have the application for a draft plan of subdivision, which is being processed by the approval authority being the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. So tonight we are dealing with the official plan amendment and the zoning amendment that are at the township level. And I'll talk a little bit about the application for the plan of subdivision, which is submitted to the county as well. And if we have any questions with that, I can try to help with those. So in terms of the supporting studies that were submitted to support the application for plan of subdivision, you'll see on page 3, I talked a little about supporting studies. There are 5 supporting studies that have been done by the applicant. On page 4 at the top, the planning rationale, the traffic impact study, a hydrogeological study and terrain assessment, an environmental impact study / environmental impact assessment, and a stormwater management plan. Now, I just want to, for your information, 3 of those studies are being peer reviewed by the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. The traffic study, because it's a county road, is being peer reviewed. The hydrogeological study and terrain assessment, which deals with the ability of the land to accommodate septic and wells, that is being peer reviewed by a consultant hired by the County of Leeds and Grenville. The stormwater management plan is being peer reviewed by 2 agencies, actually, the Conservation Authority, Cataraqui Conservation Authority, and a consultant hired by the United Counties as well. So in terms of the provincial policy statement, continuing on page 4, the lands are considered rural area by the PPS, and the rural area does allow limited residential development, and where appropriate sewage, private sewage disposal and water services are also permitted. And the PPS also calls for a range of housing options to provide as much housing as possible throughout the province. Actually, there's been a big push, as committee is aware on that. So the proposed redesignation will allow the development of 10 single detached dwellings and 20 residential townhomes, increasing the number of housing units available in the area. And also with some trickle down effect, usually that happens with housing as people go from rent to house, and there is a trickle down effect with housing that may hopefully help the affordability of housing in the area. Staff have reviewed, top of page 5, staff have reviewed the PPS and will recommend to the committee that the proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment conform with the policies of the PPS. The recommendations of the environmental impact study and impact assessment will be implemented via conditions of the draft approval. So those will be conditions that the county will put on. Okay. Now, in terms of the official plan, Harold mentioned the designation, which is rural lands, and township staff have reviewed the county official plan. We're also recommending on the bottom of page 5 that the proposed official plan amendment and zoning amendment conform with the policies of the county official plan. Now, page 6 of the report, Harold's mentioned that the lands are designated rural in our official plan, and limited residential development is permitted. And paragraph 1 on page 6, I just want to read the property to be developed abuts an existing area of 30 residential lots to the east, accessed by Edith Road and Myrtle Road. They're zoned R1. There are also lots along the north side of County Road 26 that are zoned R1. And residential lots to the west of the property are along I have County Road 26 there. I mean North Augusta Road, which is in the city of Rockville. So the proposed residential development represents an infilling situation between existing residential development that's already there to the east, west, and north. Paragraph 2 of that same page, in light of the importance of the preservation of rural character in our official plan, is recommended that deciduous trees be planted along the property line between the proposed subdivision and County Road 26 within the proposed 3 lots that abut the county road. It's similar to what you'll see occurring with the residential development already to the east. County Road 26 is the only portion of the development that will be readily visible from the county road. Range of housing options I've already talked about. Paragraph 3 is to be provided for existing and future residents. Section 2.3 of our official plan envisions a 10-year supply of land for residential development to be available. The proposed development will provide up to 30 new housing units in the area. And I've mentioned that should assist in providing affordable housing through the trickle-down effect. Yeah, I'll go over to page 7. It's recommended that the proposed redesignation from rural to residential special exception area conforms to the policies of our official. Harold's mentioned the zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw that's attached to the report has 2 zones, R1 for the 10 single detached dwellings and an R2-3 special for the townhomes. Now, any questions on that, I can answer them. If there are any. In public meeting, the public meeting was held by council on April 14th, 2025 in the chambers here. And there were approximately 8 persons that attended at the meeting. Newspaper, or rather direct mail notice was given to all property owners within 400 feet. And a posting was placed at the property. Now, in terms of circulation on page 8 of the report, the application was circulated to a number of agencies as we're required to do by the Planning Act, and we received 2 letters from the Cataraqui Conservation Authority. There on page 9, 10, 11, and 12 of your report. One's dated April 14th and April 7th, and what the Conservation Authority has said is originally they didn't have the stormwater management brief, and then the county sent that to them, which was submitted with their application for subdivision. They then looked at the stormwater management brief and they've said more information is required. That's what they've said. And they've recommended they have no problem with the principal development. What they mean by that is the official plan amendment. There's no problem with the adoption of that, but they'd like to see the zoning deferred until there's more information provided to the county and the Conservation Authority on the stormwater management plan. And I understand that that is in the works. In terms of discussion, I've already mentioned about the increase in supply of housing and the 3 applications, official plan, zoning, and subdivision. Recommendation on page 8 is that the Planning Advisory Committee recommends that council pass a bylaw to adopt OP Amendment number 7 to the official plan of our township to permit the proposed residential subdivision. And number 2, that PAC recommends that council defer the passage of the attached draft zoning bylaw amendment until the concerns of Cataraqui Conservation Authority have been addressed. And what I mean by that recommendation, or what I foresee happening, is that once those concerns are addressed, then council can consider passage of that zoning. And I think at this point, Chair, the entire OP amendment is there. The draft OP amendment and the policies are found on page 14, residential special exception area 1, which is to be added. And I'll turn it back to you, Chair, and see if you have any questions or at this point.
Thank you. Just before we have any questions from the committee, Mr. Pluie is here and Mr. Collette.
Yes.
And if you have any questions or additional or clarifications before committee asks any questions.
Well, the only comment would be regarding the Conservation Authority, when you submit for the draft plan of subdivision, they just want a brief on the drainage, which was the engineers did what they were told they needed to do, and then but then when it got to the conservation, they felt that they needed more than that. Usually a full-scale drainage is done after you get your conditions and draft approval. But they're looking for some additional information, so as Planning Jim has said, we've engaged the engineer to provide that further information, but it's seen as it's a good property, good drainage, and we're not foresee any issues there at all.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from Mark?
There was reference to phase 1 and phase 2 of the development. I guess then I couldn't tell from the map what I would assume that the 10 lots would be phase 1.
Correct.
And the 5 lots with the townhouses would be phase 2.
Initially, it was going to be projected as 2 parts, but we're doing it all in one package now. It was recommended that we just go for all the zoning change all at once, the OPA all at once, and put the application in. Initially, it was 10 lots, and then we were going to apply for the balance. And then it was just, Mr. Collette even suggested that we just do it as one package, that there's 10 lots here and 5 lots here, so it's only one subdivision. So that's, I think, just old verbiage that was in there for phase 1 and phase 2.
Well, I think you do the whole, all the lands that you're developing and then you break it up into phase one, so you probably do the one road. And then do the other one unless there's a demand there.
Right.
So we probably do one road at a time, but,
Which is what I figured, and I've been through the process myself before, so I get that. I just want to make my assumption was correct. Another thing in relation to stormwater, will the streets be paved or something else? Because there is permeable asphalt technology, permeable driveway technology that would sort of greatly reduce runoff, which would help in.
we're not expecting any problems with, and that's gonna be pavement, and they're short roads, so it's not like, a large area. And I mean, the engineer has told us right from, his initial investigation that is, the drainage is easily, looked after.
And any water that can be returned directly to the aquifer just makes all the issues about having enough water to service the wells and everything so much easier, so.
Well, speaking
That's
of
why-
wells, that report was, the hydrogen, person said he's never seen wells so good, the quantity of water and.
There was 4 wells drilled on the site.
Yep.
Based on where the hydrogeological team wanted them drilled to get the best testing results. So all 4 produced, they were pumped down at a rate of 20 gallons per minute for 6 consecutive hours. And the static levels in the well, if you follow me, didn't drop 10 feet.
That's good.
He said,
So it's just an abundance of water supply in that area.
he says he's been in the business 25 years and this is, the best he's ever seen for water.
That's good, and I assume, I mean, the report does say there'll have to be soil brought in to facilitate the construction of the sewage treatment, but that's fine, that's to be expected on that. So,
I built one house on that property already, like 3817, we built there in 2023, and we had to import close to 300 loads of fill to get the grading that I wanted, and with talks with Eastern Engineering, because we plotted it onto one of the future lots, if you will. And they said, if you want to do that, then you're going to have to establish this grade. So that's all been in the works from way back when, as well as the tile beds or the septic systems. It was done previous to the township having the jurisdiction for the tile beds or the septic systems. It was done with the health unit yet. And again, following the lead of the hydrogeological team, they determine what you need to do on top of the rock edge. Like we had to scrape it down to the rock, put a certain type of grade or fill in there, and then have that inspected, and then install the tile bed or the septic system on top of that. So to answer all of those questions in one, yes, I mean, there's lots of fill going to be brought in and imported to establish the grades and the proper runoff, as well as the septic systems.
thank you.
What's the soil depth now on the property on the average?
It ranges from 6 inches to 18 inches. It's all scrub brush. You can't even walk through it. It's,
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's all, flat, shale.
Your roadways they're short, but you've got driveways coming. Will you have subsurface drain for water, or is it all surface drain?
surface.
All surface drain.
100%.
And where's the outlet? Like, where is it draining to?
The way the stormwater management plan preliminary one was, the way the grading of the land is, as you go from County Road 6 or 26 in, the elevation changes and the natural drain brings it out to County Road 26. So the initial plan is to bring that elevation right back to County Road 26.
So we're gonna have a lot of water inside of our road,
Not on yours, there won't be any on your,
Point Wall County Road.
it's a
But
County Road, it's, now-
is that ditch on the county road able to handle additional water?
to answer that question, I'd have to go back to, I've been there for 2 years now. And both years, there's been no water in the ditches. We're on the highest side now, it runs to the east from us.
Yeah.
And there is a drainage ditch between Edith Road and Myrtle Place. And that's where it runs, and then it heads south from there again. But when you get up as far west as we are, there's zero water in those ditches.
I think I can understand and I can relate. But also one of the hardest phone calls for us to get is people dealing with water in their backyard or front yard that came from a neighbor.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And if you got paved driveway and paved road, there is gonna be some more not absorbed. It's gonna be running a little bit. On a 1 inch rain, it's gonna run somewhere.
Absolutely. Now, but to answer part of that question too, well, right now, we've got 6 to 8 or 18 inches of soil.
Yeah.
So all the rain that falls on that area. So if you take that and you add any amount, like 300 loads, if that's the case again, at a build on every lot, that becomes a huge abundance of absorption as well.
But the engineers will take.
Absolutely, that's where.
all that into account, so.
I believe there's also capable people managing this and more than I can,
Mhm.
but it's still, we still get the phone call a year later
Right.
from some other property. So I have to trust them and,
So do I.
Well, as the planner said, is you pay for the engineer, and then you do the county, and then you pay for the peer review of that, so. And then, so it's almost a.
That should protect
A
us.
triple.
that should
review.
protect us.
A triple
Okay,
review.
yeah, I trust the professionals, but,
It's almost 5 people that are reviewing this, and it's not just 1 or 2.
okay, thank you.
Jim?
Yeah, actually, I just to clarify that and confirm it, I mean, we've got Cataract Conservation reviewing it. We've got the county reviewing it because it's their road in particular.
Yeah.
We've got their peer review agent reviewing it, and we're reviewing it, so it's gonna be well reviewed, so I hope it turns out extremely well. But I think the goal that if we're not doing stormwater management, then post-development has to equal pre-development. So you cannot, post has to equal pre. So with the qualifications and people that are looking at it, if anyone's gonna turn out properly, this one should be it. So, but certainly it's a very key issue.
Even go on to answer a little more of your question, like you said, the driveways and the roadways and the asphalt and all that stuff. You go to the adjacent 2 developments like Edith Road and Myrtle Place. Neither one of them have any ditches or culverts. They have asphalted roads and they have asphalted driveways, 0 water. So all I'm getting to is that area, for whatever reason, is very good in the ability to drain
Cracks in the
itself.
rock underneath.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm just elaborating on your question, if you will. So.
So just following up on that, because you had mentioned about the water flow.
Mhm.
And of course, we're also mentioning Edith and Myrtle. And I know Jim, all these people are experts are looking at all this. And you mentioned the flow was going towards the east, which is towards Myrtle. So if there's nothing there, are we covered? I say we, meaning this subdivision, if it's approved and recommended, will it go past so that if there is water, it goes past Myrtle, so there's none laying there, if it creates any? Is that?
I understand, my understanding, and of course, the applicants have to provide more information that's got to be reviewed, but it's going to be out to the county road. It's not going to impact Myrtle at all. It should impact Myrtle. Like anything to the east is my
Heading east
understanding.
there, and the water will still keep, if there is water, it'll still.
If there's any.
Yeah, if there is, it'll still keep going to the east, so
Yeah.
that's the big concern, I think.
It'd be a very big concern that the water does not travel to the east over the Bowie lands to the lands on the east.
Yeah.
Very big concern.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just to make sure on the diagram, I see obviously in the 10 lots, it's a crescent, similar to Edith and Myrtle. And then the other one, is it gonna be for the residential? Is it just an in and out, or is it gonna be a crescent too, or how is that?
Actually, we haven't had that discussion with the applicants yet. That's why I put my hand up. So as part of the process, the county of Leeds and Grenville has now sent the agencies a notice, which I have in the subdivision file, asking all the agencies for their comments for conditions of draft approval, us being one. And I've had preliminary discussions with our Public Works Department and our CAO on our conditions for the township. They won't be ready for another month or two, but one of the conditions that we've talked about is having a cul-de-sac on Street B as well as Street A. And I haven't had a chance to talk to the agent or the applicant about that, but we have had discussions here at the township about that. And I would be surprised if doesn't stick with one of our conditions, that there also be a permanent cul-de-sac at Street B.
The diagram just shows something straight through.
It shows on the draft plan,
It shows
cul-de-sac,
both options.
and then it shows a 3 meter reserve. And if with the township lands, if there's ever a road in there, then it could connect into it and you could lift the 0.3 meter reserve. If not, the cul-de-sac will stay in place.
Actually, just to clarify, what I'm saying is our option will be the cul-de-sac as it sits right now. And Bill's correct. It's optional on the plan, one or the other, but the discussions we've had here, and it remains to be seen if those will hold true. But the preferred option right now is the permanent cul-de-sac.
The reason why I asked that question was in the diagram, unless there's another diagram somewhere else I haven't seen. It shows the crescent, but it doesn't show a crescent on the other, so that's why I asked the question, so that's okay.
I think the applicants intended to put it in there, it's in there as an option. Yeah.
Any other questions or clarification? Okay, all over the approval. Okay, cool. Seconder, Linda, all in favor? Thank you. Jim, you probably talked to them about the next steps and what goes on, so.
Yes, I would have, the next step for the OP amendment is adoption of the official plan amendment by council. And then if council looks at PAC's recommendation and goes ahead with the adoption, then I need to prepare a package and send it off to the county, the OP amendment and a bunch of other documents for their approval. Now, I'm hoping, I think I mentioned it to maybe you or Brent, the council meets on the 23rd of June. And I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get the OP amendment. I've already talked to our deputy clerk here about getting that to council meeting on the 23rd of June. So that's what we're shooting for, and hopefully that'll happen, because if it doesn't, then because of the set summer schedule, the next council meeting, I think is July 14th.
Yeah.
Which delays it almost another month, so we're hoping to get it to the 23rd.
That's only the OP.
That's only the OP. It will go off, and if this recommendation from PAC on the zoning holds true with council, then once the stormwater management situation is straightened out, we can take the zoning bylaw directly to council.
Okay.
So we've done the public meetings and everything, though, we've done all the notifications.
I didn't know if we could get an approval for the zoning or a pre-done approval at the same meeting with the council. If everything comes true to form and the stormwater management is acceptable, that it's already been voted on and drafted, and then it's already ready to, instead of having to wait for that and then take it back to another council meeting again.
Well,
Because everybody's aware of it at that stage, you know what I mean?
If I may, Chair, the problem with that is the county's gonna take several months to do the OP approval. So I mean, if you had the material here by the 23rd, but that isn't right now. So if we then held off on everything, then the OP amendment goes to the county. My feeling, you should get it into them as soon as possible, so they can start their approval clock ticking,
Sure.
you know?
Yep.
And really, Bill, the principle of development, once the aid's established, the zoning bylaw is automatically gonna follow through.
Okay.
But personally, I don't think there'll be any issue with it.
I was trying to eliminate the redundancy of
Right.
coming back and coming back and.
And that's a township, the zone, but the official plan has to go through.
Okay, yeah, I'm not trying to delay it.
No, I'm a big favor of trying to keep these things moving as much as we
Thank
can,
you.
and I know council's.
One of the few that. What I'd like to bring to everybody's attention as well, the 5 fourplex townhouses that we've basically come up with a design. I attended a few of the meetings for, I think it was called, is it Campus Developments? That's looking at doing the development at the fairgrounds. And I had a complete different outlook on things, because we had our design already for the fourplexes. And we threw them in the garbage and started over again after those meetings, because of the attendees were so concerned about availability of accessible housing. So my wife and I approached these because we're intending to build these units and keep them. Like, we're not going to build a fourplex and sell it and build another one and sell it. We intend to keep these for our own retirement plan. And we redesigned every one of them, so they're going to be, all 20 are going to be fully accessible. Just because it seems to be a lack of that in the area. That there's, like, one of the attendees that day said they were 2 years trying to hunt something down in Brockville, and ended up buying their own house and having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to make it accessible. So we just took that and held that true to paper again, and we redesigned it all, and every one of them now we're gonna be 100% accessible. And hoping that that deals to a need in the township. So I just wanted to let you know that. It sounds like it's a fourplex or whatever. Yeah, it's not the typical ones, you know, I mean, there's gonna be 0 steps and 0 boundaries and 100% accessible.
Okay, so, thank you. That's good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
So we'll move on now. You can say if you wish, or you can leave, whatever you wish.
Well, depends on what you're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
3 minutes is
If you're gonna talk about me, I'm gonna stay.
So we'll move on to number 7 in the land division decisions. And I'll just quickly go over a few. B 103-24. It's the Roth property decision. Number 2 is a B 4-25, which is the Withley property, the new lot. The next one is B 925, the Root Bauer property decision. The next one is 1925, which is the Chapman property, a new lot. B 2025 is the Chapman property again, which is a new lot. And the final one is B 2125, which is also the Chapman property. Is there any questions or anything on that? If not, give a motion and a seconder as received and filed. Linda, Angie, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Is there any other business we discussed or anything? Nothing. All right. Our next meeting is Thursday, July 17th at 4 o'clock. And I didn't announce today about any questions from the Zoom because we don't seem to be receiving any since COVID. So, but if somebody had sent something in. So if there's no other discussion, then I'll ask for a motion for and a seconder for adjournment. Angie, Henry, thank you very much. All in favor? I declare the meeting closed.
Harold, just before, if I could just, no, that's fine. I just wanted to, I mentioned the 23rd of